Yes, Dan, officially, the name of the show is Hitting the Mark with Markman. I'm Kevin Markman. So hopefully I'm right on track with gauging how comedy is and seeing what locally and globally where we're at, and hopefully I hit the mark. If I don't hit the mark, tell me I'm way off. But that's what I'm trying to do is hit. Hi, Dan.
Hey,
How are you?
pretty good. How are you?
I am very good. I am excellent. We find our laughter within the chaos of life, and that's part of what I'm looking for and looking to share with you and your followers and anyone else who wants to watch today, too. So I'm here. I'm Kevin Markman, um, trying to hit the mark on comedy. So playing around with words, playing around with my name, and playing around with you as our audience also. So thank you very much for welcoming me to Live from Midtown. Dan Kennedy Presents Live from Midtown. So I like saying that. I like saying that in the beginning. And it's been kind of fun and weird at the same time because there are all these diverse groups of comedy within the local roster community, within the United States, within the world. And my goal is I don't say anything tonight to get canceled because however many followers we have, I hope they follow and do not cancel us because that would be good if we can continue to do this and bring in other people too because there's so much art out there. Because one of the foundational things that I believe is that creativity is the solution to all of life's problems. And so if we can be creative, one of our art forms is comedy. One of our art forms is creating shows like Dan Kennedy does. So thank you for providing that. It is very nice. But I'm going to go kind of locally to globally. Locally, New York is doing pretty well. We have some struggles as well as everyone else does, but New York is doing better than most states are in dealing with the virus, which is good, but makes it weird locally because people are getting tired of the virus. So there's some people who are like, I'm just going to go out and expose myself and everybody. And there are some people who are like, nope, I'm quarantining. I haven't talked to anybody in 4 to 6 months, and I'm not going to talk to anybody else. And so how that seems to be playing out is there are Zoom shows that started at first and then they're sort of dying, and I'm planning to do a monthly mic Zoom because the fatigue has set in for lots of others that they started and then they petered out, so I'd like to join in and do the Zoom mics. There are ones all over the world, which I just was able to do a Zoom mic in that's promoted through the Hawaii comedy community, which I got to meet a couple people when I went to Hawaii a while ago, and that was great. And they're doing a mic, and there were people from Tokyo and South Dakota and other foreign lands. So it was great. So there's opportunities to do that, and we can put some of the links in for people to do that also. There are local shows for local comedians coming up that are online. Joel James is doing one in a couple weeks of his mask comedy show because we have to be scared and do the masks. And there are people who are doing what was the term in the 50s where when with prohibition where it was illegal and then people would do their own thing. Do you remember what that was? I can't remember what that's called, but where there would be I think what is it? Speakeasies, I think was the term. So there's sort of speakeasy secret shows that aren't that secret because they're posted online and in social media, but you have to ask people to be able to do that, and there's some great shows. And there's outdoor shows. So Rudolph Valentino is doing outdoor shows, and Ralph Tetta just started a weekly open mic outdoors in his yard. So you can stand at his driveway and scream at his neighbors, which is great. And I did that last night. It was a lot of fun. Everybody sat on the lawn. There were lights. There weren't that many bugs. You had to bring a sweater for being cold if your bones are getting old, or if you're young and dressed all booty shorts, then I wouldn't dress like that out on the lawn because it's not a nightclub. It's a lawn in a suburb outside of the city where there's neighbors doing yard sales down the street. So it's different. It's weird, but it's fun, and it went really well. And I think there's a new format to outdoors that's happening too. And then globally, there's people putting specials out left and right. I talked to a friend of mine who put out an album putting together that stuff, and that's inspiring. And then another person Madeline, who's local, had the #1 spot on iTunes and Apple as she moved to New York City, and she had the #1 comedy album out a couple weeks ago, and you can go purchase that online at all Spotify and Apple and all too. And that's the creativity that people are putting together. People are putting together little shows like this, and who knows what happens with them? They're all over the place. So it's, if you can embrace the creativity, it's fun. So, and you are embracing the creativity, which is nice to see. Now, so thank you as one of the people doing this, Dan. That's great. So for myself, there's I'm doing okay, but we got a worry out on the lawn. There was the worry too, because we not only in New York, we have we're outdoors. It's summer. It's we have tick season, so we not only have to worry about corona, but we have to worry about corona with Lyme disease. So that's not fun. That's not fun. And I had to. He had mics that he put little covers over, which was good, and I made sure to sanitize myself all over, so I was completely clean and disinfected to be able to go out, because I don't feel like going out of the house unless I am completely Purelled. So, and stay that way. And I have it in my car, because we got to do that too. And then dating was weird too, because I'm trying to, people are getting tired of not dating and not having social contact and not having friends. So people are out, and I was out at a place that played skee ball a little bit with my age-appropriate friends. And then all these young people came in, and I went to go close out and leave because it was getting too crowded. And one of the guys at the bar turned to me and was like, "You are way too old to be here. We shouldn't have people in here who are 35 and above." And I'm like, 35? Thank you very much. I'm turning 50 this year. Thanks for the compliment. But I don't know if he was worried about me hitting on the women he wanted to hit on, or if he was worried about exposing me and him being the reason why some old guy gets the virus and doesn't make it through. But either way, I left to protect people. So that was good. So things are weird and things are strange, and they keep being that way. And I went on a couple dates, and one of them, we sat going out. Some restaurants are open, but they're outside, so we sat out at the restaurant, took our masks off while we were eating, because it's hard to eat. Apparently I heard you can stick a straw on your mask and drink while you have your mask on, but you can't really eat doing that. It's much harder to do that. And then I went to walk her back to her car, and leaned in for that intimate elbow bump. So that's as far as it got. And if we have another date, then maybe I'll get a high five or a side hug. But we're never bumping it. We're just gonna bump elbows. We're never gonna bump uglies. So that's about as far as it will go. And I think that's the limit we're at. But it's changing and it's different. And we looked at each other like, do I like you enough right away to risk killing you or killing me or all of my relatives? I don't know if I like you that much, so we might not go on another date. So, because that's about where my limit is and where I think the limit needs to be. But the exposure is all over. But this is a fun forum, and it's safe. So thank you for making a safe place to be able to do this, and a safe place to do. Look online on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter's all over the place too. Unless you've been canceled, then there's lots of alternate comedy things. There's memes, there's interloop, there's little bits, and I'm archiving my jokes, so some of the jokes I said tonight I might have to get rid of and cancel those, but I'm not going to cancel myself completely, because comedy is not canceled. Comedy is there and keeps going. So I appreciate the forums to be able to do that. So thank you, Dan. This is great.
Welcome.
Any comments or questions that you might want to add to this, or?
Yeah. Okay. So has the sense of funny changed since the quarantine?
That's a very good question. The sense of funny, a large part, as you know, of comedy is building the tension and then trying to release it. I think, based on that really good question, the sense of funny, things are already tense. So if you could just break it for a moment, wherever you are, then it's that much more funny. So that sense of like, how do I break this tension is great. And because that's even like walking through a grocery store is tense. And as soon as you could flip that mask off out, you're like, ah, but if you could think of something coming out of the grocery store of like, that was a weird thing I never saw before. I've never seen somebody with 17 bags of granola all at once before, but they're stocking up and not enough toilet paper to stock up, so why not stock up on granola? Because that's what you need. And if you can find the funny in that, that breaks the tension. So I think it does have a sense of funny is a little bit different because of the tension.
Anything that's taboo that wasn't taboo before?
Ooh, well, comedy is always, from what I've learned, is tragedy plus time. And since we're in this tragic era, there is hard to get to the past the time. So I think some of the current taboos that if you can figure out a way to make it funny about you and not funny about other people and the horror and the safety and the death that's going on, that the virus can be funny because everybody's material has something about the virus because it's affecting everybody. And so the nice thing is it's a relatable thing, but it's a horrible thing to relate to.
I think the hard thing is that it's hard to top what's already bizarre, because the bizarre. I think there was I saw this thing. I think it was Japan. They wanted people to ride the roller coasters again, but they didn't want them to scream because that would release the water droplets. So they had a film where these two Japanese men wearing masks were showing how they could have fun riding a roller coaster without screaming. And that was a serious, I mean, that really happened. So how do you top something like that?
Yep, I believe it. That is bizarre, and I think just you pointing out the bizarre of that and then seeing how that affects other parts of life too, because we still need to have fun. And I think the point of, yes, we should be able to ride roller coasters and have fun, but there's the screaming, and I personally cannot ride a roller coaster without screaming because I feel like my stomach's gonna leave my mouth. So I don't know how I could do that, but maybe there's some tantric kind of mindfulness kind of way of being able to go, I'm having so much fun. How much fun I'm having. This is great. And that might compare to things like going out to dinner. If you go out to dinner and eat, but don't breathe while the serving staff comes over to you, that could still be fun. And if you find an intimate partner and wear your mask without exposing the breath, you can expose a lot of other things.
I think they should have a corona police that just standing by at the tables to take your temperature and make sure you're not over sweating.
Yeah, and the ones who are really doing it have I just bought one of those portable temperature things too, but I could see instead of having holsters and instead of like nightsticks or guns, defunding the police and putting temperature gauges in everybody to get the mark.
All right. Okay, and anything else today?
No, I just want to thank you, Dan, for doing this, and it's a lot of fun. Everybody watch, follow, and check out any links to be able to have fun, because that's the most important thing.
Hi, to see a shorter version of Kevin's segment, but in relationship to the show, just go to Dan Kennedy Presents Live from Midtown.